So the Hurricanes just finished up their first spring practice. Also, we just wrapped up doing interviews with Coach Cristobal, Tyler Van Dyke, Jalen Rivers, Wesley Basaint, and Cam Kitchens. A lot of information from the players and coach, obviously, but also we got a chance to watch about 15 minutes of practice or so. It wasn't a ton, but it was just good seeing a lot of the new faces out there. A lot of number changes that we'll certainly get into. I'm really looking forward to getting out here for the next time, because now that we actually have the roster, can study it, really concentrate and pay attention to exactly who we're watching, because again, a lot of new faces, a lot of new number changes to watch for. Cam Kitchens, the headliner with the number change, going back to number 5. That's a number that he wore growing up in the Optimus leagues, and then also his last 2 years at Northwestern. So he's back to 5. Check out all the information on InsideTheU.com. I'm not going to run through all of that, but just a few information stuff that I want to get to first of all before I get into some impressions, my thoughts on what I saw at practice. But there's some guys that are injured. That'll be the big thing. I think certain guys that we were not going to see much at all during the spring. I think a guy like Zion Nelson wasn't out there today. I'd be surprised if we saw him during the spring. Just going to bring him along. Coach Cristobal said they're going to be patient with them, and understandably so. After what happened last year, playing one game, dealing with the knee injury sustained in July, but he just wasn't able to ever get back to full strength, and he had some setbacks. So I think they're going to take it slow. It makes sense, and we're going to get a chance to see the other new offensive linemen. Certainly going to get into that here in a little bit. Other key injuries to pay attention to are Akeem Mesidor, another key guy switching numbers to number 3. So he's a guy that coach said maybe could come back during the spring. Leonard Taylor dealing with an injury that he doesn't expect him until like May or so. So we'll see on those 2 defensive linemen. Again, with all these injuries, it's going to give a lot of opportunities to newcomers and also some young players. It's similar to what we saw last spring with a good number of guys out. So that it is what it is. They're going to go 15 practices. Next practice is on Tuesday. They're going to go about 3 practices a week until it wraps up there on April 14th with the spring game at Drive Pink Stadium there. So they're going to go 1 week on and then 1 week off with spring break, and we'll certainly be out here all the time for that. You know, just my impressions of today. Again, a lot of new faces. You know, I want to start with the wide receivers. There were 2 guys in particular that stood out to me in terms of just looking good, you know, and that's Isaiah Horton. Didn't play much last year, and I posted on the live thread during practice. You already heard me say it, but look, if you didn't know he didn't play much last year, you would have came out today and expected he's one of the top guys, and to me, that just shows that he's developing. You know, he looks good from a weight room standpoint. He made plays out there today. Again, we only saw them do drill stuff. We didn't see him go against the defense or anything like that, but he looked good, and I think that's a good step. Again, it's just what we saw today. And then also Colby Young, another guy who gets switched from 88 to 4. So number 4 out there is one to watch, and we're so used to seeing Jalen Knighton in the 4 jersey. Obviously, he's moved on the offensive standpoint, but Colby looks good. I think with Colby, there's a big difference. We saw with Tyler Van Dyke, again, after you show some things one season, then coming back the next year, you know, Colby Young's not going to surprise anyone. He's going to be on that scouting report. He's going to be expected to be a full-time contributor, not just show up, you know, half of the season or eventually get in when he got in and made the most of his opportunities. Now he's one of their guys, and they're looking for him to even step up to a more consistent year out of him, and certainly it starts with the spring. I think we could find out a lot about Colby. Is he going to be one of those upper echelon type of receivers, or is he just going to be kind of a guy you can count on from here or there? So certainly a lot of positives with what we saw out of Colby last season, and he wants to build on that. And I think with Tyler Van Dyke, he said this afterwards, and I was really curious about this, but he feels like there's just a good positive energy with the offense, and you always want to hear that anytime a new coordinator comes in. So I think that's good to hear. But also, Coach Cristobal mentioned Tyler's really improved as being a leader, not just leader at quarterback, but really the offense. And I think Tyler's, you know, it's just another step in his development. And another thing that I didn't get a chance to ask a follow-up, but he said, you know, in terms of wanting to come back or thinking about the draft in the offseason, but he wanted to come back, and he said he thinks it's a good time or a good place to be for the next year. Was basically what he was saying for the next year, but he's got 2 years of eligibility. So is this going to be his final year? The other 2 quarterbacks, Jakari Brown and Emory Williams, a newcomer, they were doing some drills as well, and it'll just be interesting to see how Shannon Dawson works with these guys. You know, saw a little bit today. I'll post a video of what I had and what I got today. Obviously, I want to show you as many newcomers as possible, but also some drills, you know, different position groups, let you get a look at it. But right now, drop in the comments below if I focus on a particular position group for spring for the next practice. Drop below. Let me know which one you want to see first. I'm going to try to get to them all as quickly as possible, but let me know what you want me to do for the next practice there on Tuesday. Definitely want to get to that. Also, your comments, what you think of this team, maybe some key guys that I haven't mentioned yet in this video, or enough on the website. Maybe you guys are curious how these guys are doing, or maybe guys that you're excited to see. So 2 guys that I mentioned that I was excited to see in spring ball, I was glued to them throughout practice today during the viewing period, and that's the freshman offensive lineman Francis Maui Noah, and also freshman Samson Okunlola. Both those guys were on that second team at the tackle spots, Francis at left and Samson at right. On first team, I thought it was interesting. Jalen Rivers, that first team left tackle starting out, and Jalen did say that he could rotate different spots in the spring. Obviously, we've seen him at guard throughout his career at Miami, but he's at tackle. Some people liked him out of tackle, coming into college, and we'll see if Jalen can hold on to that and have a strong spring. A guy that I'm expecting to have a strong spring is center Matt Lee, transfer from UCF, a good player there. It sounds like what Tyler's saying, some really good leadership qualities going on with Matt, really controlling the team already, which is what you like to see out of a transfer. Going back to Francis and Samson, those are the 2 headliners with this freshman class of guys to watch in the spring, because I think they've got a chance to play immediately, and they were so highly regarded as well. And I watched them go through some drills. Samson had some good explosion in certain drills. Again, not going against the defense, just doing some pad work and some footwork drills, but that was good to see. And Francis didn't get to see him do as much, but still good to see these guys. They look the part. They look like they belong here, and certainly that was expected. That they have big physiques, and they're expected to look like the part as a college offensive lineman. And Jalen Rivers said that these guys are doing a good job of listening. Look, it's not high school anymore, even though they were highly regarded. So he says they're doing a pretty good job right now of listening to the older guys, and certainly there's an adjustment period to college. But I think both those guys, from what I've been hearing, what I saw at the high school level, I think that they'll do just fine. Thought it was good to hear from Wesley Basaint after practice, linebacker. Look, they've got to be better at linebacker, but I thought it was good to hear from him. He's a guy that we saw him flash quite a bit as a freshman. And he says right now, 215, 216 pounds, wants to play at 220, 225, which I think is good because he's a rangy guy that has speed, a really good tackler when he gets his guy in a grasp. So I think, Wesley is going to take a jump. I've spoken highly of Wesley since he arrived, since he's been in high school. I think this is an important spring for him. Be out here as much as possible, get as many high quality reps. Wesley said he likes working with the freshmen. Malik Bryant and also Bobby Washington said they're already fitting in. He said those are my guys already. So that was good to hear. Hearing some positive things about the freshman classes. Again, there's over 20 new players on the team. It's going to grow to more than 30 when the season starts. But speaking of freshmen, Cam Kitchens gave a shout out to freshmen, not a highly regarded guy, but he said Caleb Spencer was a guy. He said all the freshmen are dogs, and then he said especially Caleb. He said, with that, he said Caleb goes at him in the off-season training program, and Cam said he's not going to back down. So he definitely is getting motivated by what Caleb is doing, and that's a good thing. Anytime you have these under the radar guys, particularly if they're out of state, it's good to see them fitting in and being competitive, because that's what it takes at this level. So good early signs from some off-season stuff from Caleb, and we'll see how things go during the spring practices. So last thing before I wrap up this video and get to some other content items I need to work on, I want to mention that there was a group of reporters that were speaking about their season predictions for this upcoming year for the Hurricanes, and to me, I don't want to do any of that. I want to take a wait-and-see approach. I want to see more of spring ball, what these newcomers are all about, before I make some declarations of what I think the season will be. I have no idea what the other teams on Miami's schedule are going to look like as well, and I think that's how a lot of people should take this spring practices, where you've got a lot of guys out with the team. Let's see how some individuals do. Let's learn more about these coaching with the new coaches, the new coaching regime here, the schemes that these coordinators want to run, how it all fits. Because obviously last year it didn't work out well on a number of reasons. So I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I'm really looking forward to the next practice. Once again, drop below. Let me know position group you want me to focus on for next practice. I'll try my best to do that. But definitely, I just appreciate you guys for following along, watching the videos. We're doing really well with the content in terms of getting a lot of viewers and whatnot. And obviously, check out more information, more in-depth stuff will be explained on the website on InsideTheU.com. So always check that out in the live updates. I'm able to do that. We are able to do that on the website for every practice. So got some new things planned for the spring. Don't want to reveal it yet. Want to see how it all plays out, but definitely want to thank everybody for your support. Looking forward to covering spring ball and taking a wait and see approach on this team. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully you have a good rest of the weekend, and take care.